All right, welcome to another edition of the West Tennessee Box Score Podcast. We've got a very special guest today. My boss, Mr. Danny Leasure.
No, my co-worker.
Co-worker. Well, I'm going to tell you, you're in rare air in one area. You and my Dale Burns, I don't know if you know Dale, he was my first principal. You two guys run faculty meetings better than any other boss I've ever had. Y'all have mastered faculty meetings. But basketball is kind of what we're here to talk about.
Yes.
About today. And for those of you who don't know Danny, he has done everything. He's coached college, high school, middle school, and refed at pretty much every level.
All the above, yes.
And well, let's just go back in time. Let's start with high school. So
Okay.
And we're actually, we joke about this. If my granny was around when you came back to Lexington, I remember Granny telling me, "Well, that's your kinfolk. That's your kinfolk." So I know your grandma and my grandma we're somehow related way back. So you've got ties to this area. But you grew up in Memphis.
Grew up in Memphis, and that's the reason we're kin there. I've about decided I'm kin to about a third or half of the Scotts Hill community. But my mom and dad are both from Decatur County.
Right.
And we have kin folks in Scotts Hill, but when they got married, they moved to Memphis. So I was raised in Memphis.
And played high school ball at...
I did.
Where'd you play at?
Played in Elliston.
Elliston, okay. And now, one of the things I love about work is those moments where we get to just talk hoops. So I love history and really been focusing on West Tennessee. And it won't be long till we get back into Bobby Parks and oh gosh, Coach Berkeley over there now. They were all on that Middleton team. You got to play against that team.
The best of course, that's been, keep in mind, it's been 40 years ago. Literally, it's a lifetime ago. But my junior year of high school at Elliston, we came out of a really tough district. Had Bolton and West Side and Oak Haven and Skyview. I've had some really good teams and really good players, but we got hot about the last month of the season, and we got out of the district tournament and went to the region. And went to the region. I remember we upset the number one team in the state, which was Lake County at the time. And we beat Oak Haven in the semis, and Bolton, who ended up winning the state tournament that year,
Right.
beat us in the region finals. So we've come out of Memphis, come out of the region, and we're going to play this little country school I've never heard of, Middleton. And like, these country boys are in trouble. And let me tell you what, I had one of my best high school games ever. I had like 23 at halftime, I think. But
was Bobby on that?
I think Bobby had just left. I know Berkeley
was
there.
on that. Yeah, he was a heck of a player.
Let me tell you what, they can play. They ran outside the gym. We ended up getting beat about 15 or so, best I remember. But
and then you went on. Where'd you go on to play?
I went to Washita Baptist to play ball.
Had a great coach there, right?
Had a great coach. Matter of fact, Bill Vining was his name, and he's in the Arkansas Hall of Fame. And Coach Vining passed away about 2 months ago at the age of 95. Lived a long, healthy, wonderful life. And I could take 2 days of your podcast to tell you stories about Coach Vining, but he not only was he a legend in Arkansas, but he had connections through the Pan Am games and Olympic trials and all that. And he knew Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and Sidney Moncrief and Darnell Valentine, all those guys. Matter of fact, I would sit in his office just about every day. We were watching tape, and he'd be smoking his pipe and rolling the tape and drawing on his legal pad. And we just talk basketball, and people would call every now and then. Denny Crumbs called, and Gerald Myers from Texas Tech, and different coaches around the state. And he got a call one day, and hello, you too, good luck. Call me back when you get a chance, bye. And he hangs up. I went, Coach, who was it? He said, that was Larry Bird. Just wished us good luck on the season. I thought, I wish you'd just let me say hi to him.
Yeah, well, Larry was my favorite. Now, you mentioned Sidney Moncrief. That's Tim Allen's favorite, one of his favorite players. Man. So Tim will be watching this, so the Moncrief connection there is big Arkansas fan.
Sidney could play.
And then, now your first coaching job, where'd you start at?
I did high school for 3 years. And then I went to Williams Baptist over Arkansas.
Right. Now that's my first probably kind of memory of you was at Williams Baptist.
I had absolutely no business being a head coach in college. I was 24 years old. and thought I knew everything, and in hindsight knew nothing. But my players at the time were just 2 or 3 years younger than I was. But that was a learning experience.
I can only imagine.
I was there for 7 years, and the first 4 years there we were terrible, and then our last 3 years we got pretty good. We were bouncing out of the top 25, and
Right.
Started getting. And it really helps your coaching if you have good players.
Oh, it does. It does. That's a.
Coach is a little bit overrated. If I've got good players, we're going to be okay.
Now, Williams Baptist, after that, was that?
Came to Lexington.
Came to Lexington.
Yep.
So that was the little high school.
Yes, sir.
And then I know when I first came home, you got roped back into doing. You were a principal there at Bargitude. I know they were without a coach for a while. You got roped back into middle school ball for a while.
I actually quit coaching. I had done 15 years, I think, 7 high school, 7 college. So I got into administration at Bargitude, but I had quit coaching, started officiating. And so later on down the line, Bargitude didn't have a coach, so I was coaching our middle school team.
Right.
So that was
that was when I first came home. You were coaching the middle school, so you have coached at every level. Which one was your favorite?
college. I enjoyed that. You're dealing with people on any level, doesn't matter.
Right.
So you got those relationships you're building. But the junior high level is it's like summer camp every day.
Right.
Very fundamentally sound. I mean, we're teaching jump stops and boxing out, and it's basketball 101 in junior high. And then in high school, it's a little bit more involved. But I went back to that after doing college, and it was a challenge to stay motivated every day.
Right.
I hate to say that, but it is what it is. But I enjoyed the college game because your guys are more skilled.
Right.
They're more athletic. I can just tell you examples because we had files on teams and watch tape. But let's say I played you the first time in game A. Well, game B, we've run down picks on everything. Well, game B, we're probably going to run some back picks just to switch it up. And our secondary break, we might run it a certain way the first time we played, and we'd make some adjustments. It's just a game of adjustments.
Yeah.
You hear them talk about in the NFL all the time. You have to make an adjustment.
Right.
Well, that's from game 1 to game 2, you're making adjustments. So I enjoyed the tinkering with the X's and O's stuff quite a bit.
Well, I've got you here. One of the things I want to talk with you about is probably in this area right now, you're probably most known and remembered for your time refereeing. But before we get to that, I know our kids always like to hear about it. You did have one experience in college that was very interesting to me anyway, too. You got to play against one of the all-time great players in the history of basketball, an all-time great, a Hall of Famer, 6 championships, but you got matched up against Scottie Pippen.
I did. He went to Central Arkansas. They were in our conference. I'll tell you a Scottie story. You'll enjoy this. He was a year behind me. So they had a guy that was my age at Central Arkansas. His name was Ronnie Martin. He's from Hamburg, Arkansas. Well, Ronnie and Scottie Pippen were best buddies all through high school growing up. So Ronnie got a scholarship to Central Arkansas. The high school coach at Hamburg asked Coach Dyer, would you take this Pippen kid, let him be your manager? Because he's in need of some fun, like most of us are. We need some fun.
Need some help.
Need some help going to college. So Scottie is literally over there at Hamburg or at Central Arkansas washing jocks and towels and helping practice. And he's a 6'1" point guard. Well, he comes back his sophomore year, and all of a sudden he's 6'8", and can still handle. He can shoot. He can play. And we're like, okay, this guy's a handful. So, but I was about his size. Believe it or not, I was a little stronger than he was that time because he was growing. He was still real thin. Trust me, he looked nothing like he did after he got the NBA for a couple years.
Yeah,
a whole different body. But back then, I was a little more physical than he was. So because of our height and, I played inside and out, he did too. So we got to match up against each other quite a bit. But I remember they would put him, if you know what the UCLA high cut post move is, they would put him on the block to start the game out. And as the game would wear on, get your big man matchup on, and then they would take him out to the wing. Now your big man's out of the paint area, got a little mismatch, and next thing you know, he's running point guard and running off that UCLA high cut. When you put a point guard on him out there and cut him down, put him on the block, he was a killer.
Yeah.
He was just a matchup nightmare, especially at a D2 level.
Right.
So, anyway, he went on to have a great career, and I didn't. So he was really good, very average. So,
well, now you say that, but you have had some kind of career in the reffing world. Not only did you call a lot of high school games, got into the college level, and I know the college coaches. That to me, if I was going to ref, I think I would much rather ref college than high school. I don't know. You did both, which
I'd much rather do college.
It's just a different vibe from playing there to everything.
I love high school ball, but when you get into the college game, it's just a much more professional atmosphere.
Right.
And we've talked about this at school, and I'm going to mention this on your podcast today, but there's some things that we've mentioned. I wish every fan in West Tennessee, when they go to a basketball game,
Pay attention, folks.
There's a couple of rules I wish that everyone knew, because it puts stress on the game and the coaches and the officials. But the most basic one is we get a loose ball, and Eric dives on the floor at half court, and you slide all the way into the lane. And everybody in the gym is going crazy. Walk. Guys, that's not a walk. You can slide from here to Texas, and unless you make an attempt to get up, that is not a walk. So
that's one.
There's one. Number two, let's say that Danny's playing defense and Eric is coming to me down the paint, okay? Picture this. As the defender, I've got a cylinder around me. Just picture like a Coke can that goes all the way to the ceiling. I can, when you come in and initiate contact, try to draw the foul, I can jump all the way to the ceiling as long as I'm straight up and straight down. And I'm not chucking or initiating my chest. I can jump straight up. We're going to have contact, and it's okay. It's a play out.
Right.
Eric, I can tell you, we when I was going up through the Division III, Division II level, and get to the Division I level, I worked with a lot of guys that you see on TV for years, and that's how you get credibility.
Right.
And that's a big thing with officiating, is when I walk in the gym, they're going, okay, Greg and Sammy and Danny are here. We're good. Because that's the kind of crew you were.
Right.
The way you get credibility, though, is to be the young guy, like I was at one time. Everybody goes through that.
Yeah.
And you walk in with that really solid crew, and they're like, who's this guy? And he's like, let the guys with credibility say, he's going to be good, let him work. And go in there and don't screw anything up. And the next time you go by and the coach says, or the next time you go back to their game, the coach says, well, I remember having Danny. He didn't screw anything up last time. We're probably going to be okay.
Right.
So after you go 2 or 3 times, they get more comfortable with you, like, he's good.
What's the biggest game you ever ref? Do you get as nervous if you've got a big game as a ref? Do you get as nervous as you would as like a coach or a player? Is it kind of the same thing, or is it completely different?
It's different. I'm not going to say nervous is not a good word. You're anxious and you're on point, but you got a job to do.
Right.
I'll tell you, I don't know about the biggest game I ever had. I'll tell you a story, though. We were at the Sun Belt Conference tournament, and I had just worked back-to-back OVC tournaments and back-to-back Sun Belt tournaments. And the Sun Belt tournament was at Hot Springs Convention Center. I don't know if you've ever been there or not.
I've never been there, no.
Well, it's a unique setup, but they had the main arena holds about 6,500, I guess, and you walk down a tunnel about 100 yards, and there's the B arena. It'll hold about 3,000. Well, they had the men's and women's tournament going on at the very same time. So we had the meeting at the hotel Monday morning, or Thursday morning, Saturday morning, whatever it was, to get our assignments at 9 o'clock. And said, don't tell anybody where you're working until an hour before tip-off, because that's when the media releases. And that's due to NCAA and gambling, and
Right.
everything's kind of tight-lipped. So they're going through the assignments. Well, I've got the 6:30 game in the B arena, and I've got New Orleans, who was not very good, and Western Kentucky, who was very good and made the NCAA tournament that year. So I'm sitting here writing this down, writing my partners, and I'm thinking, this is going to be a fairly easy game, unless something stupid happens.
Right.
And you never know, but Western Kentucky should handle them easily. So, no big deal. Well, I'd had Arkansas Little Rock that year about 5 or 6 times. So, you can have a team too much and get to know them too well, and I was at that point. So, and my buddies were joking with me before the tournament, said, you're going to get Little Rock. I said, no way, I'm getting Little Rock. So, we're fixing to start getting dressed and talk about the game, and our supervisor walks in with about 18 minutes on the Arkansas Little Rock clock in the locker room. They're fixing to get cranked up. He said, guys, I've got to change the game plan. I'm swapping crews. They're going to y'all's game. You're going to the Arkansas Little Rock game. And I remember going, okay.
That's a shift all of a sudden.
I got a little ball right there. And the R&R crew, he stood up and started getting undressed. And he said, boys, we just went from a night off to a night on. And I'm going to tell you what, if you've never been involved in a game that's a rivalry on that level,
Right.
and they hate each other, I can remember walking on the floor, and you could literally taste the tension in the air during warm-ups, and I thought, you better get ready for war.
Right.
And of course it was, and of course we went to overtime. And I remember when it was over with, I was just mentally and physically exhausted. But because you earn your money.
Right.
But the coach from Arkansas State, they won. I remember at the press conference, he said, I don't know if they pay something about conference tournament officials, but they didn't make enough money tonight.
Right.
So,
Let me put you on the spot, kind of speaking on that level. Just something that I know is an issue for, especially at the high school and middle school levels right now, is our officials are aging, and young guys aren't doing it. What do you think they could do to maybe recruit some more younger people? I mean, I've always said I don't want to do it. I ref some camp games,
yeah.
and so those folks they were drove me nuts just reffing a camp game, and I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know that I would ever want to do this for.
I've got several thoughts about it, and I'm going to tell you, we do need young officials to get in the game, because they're hurting for officials right now. I think a good idea would be in our area, let's go to Free, let's go to Union, let's go to UT Martin. Get these guys that play high school basketball and know a little bit about the game, and who are still young and athletic, and let's get them involved.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you something. If I think a high school game pays $110 for 2 games.
That's good money for.
Okay, if I'm calling on Tuesday night and Friday night, that's some extra money. A lot more than I had when I was in college. I was playing ball. If I had $20, I was.
You're hog headed.
I was set, but we've got to get these young guys, college age kids, rolling.
Right.
So.
Well, just even as I was finishing up my last year's coaching, it was just this time of year when middle school games are reaching their tournament time, but high school games kicking off. You can get to a middle school game, and it can be. You're hurting to find guys. You're hurting to find people to even cover the games. Not even talking about their talent level as a ref, just finding the bodies to come do it.
And Eric, I'm going to tell you, you've been around it longer than I have, but I'm going to tell you something. These middle school games are as intense as anything you're going to. I promise you, I would much rather call a high level Division I game as I had a junior high game.
the fans are right there with you.
Well,
it's a different.
the play is so much better. The talent's so much better. The spacing's so much better. So most time in a larger game, when you see a foul, it jumps out at you. Bang. Yeah. Junior high game,
you could about blow it every trip down the.
I mean, what do you get? What do you let go? And the parents are going nuts, and it's very difficult.
It's a tough. I don't want the job, but I want people to do it.
Yeah.
That's one of those things. That's the catch-22. I probably shouldn't beg people to do it if I'm not willing to go out there and do it. But it's so important because I've always said the refs get the worst end of the deal because we don't have the games without them.
Right.
We need them. The kids need them. They're out there doing this, that pay's improved, but nobody's getting rich refereeing. And so it takes a volunteer's kind of heart to jump into something like that.
I'll tell you a story. You'll enjoy this. If any young people listen to this, they might enjoy this. I had played in high school, played in college, coached in high school, coached in college. And I remember going to my very first high school basketball game to referee. We went to Savannah. I don't remember who they were playing. I remember asking this on the way down there. This is how little I knew about officiating. What time do we walk on the floor? When we get out there, where do I stand? During the free throw, what do I do? Okay? When I report a foul, what do I do after that? I literally didn't know anything.
Right.
And they throw me out there, and bless his heart, Bill Wheatley, and you probably remember Billy Schredner, bless his heart. He's gone on.
I remember both those guys.
They were the greatest high school signers ever. I tell you what, they did me the greatest gift ever. You probably remember Ernest Jones and James Hicks.
Oh yeah.
My whole first year, I probably had 80% of my games with James Hicks and Ernest Jones, and I promise you, every single night, before the game, halftime of the girls' game, between the boys and girls' game, and halftime of the boys' game, I got a clinic. And what two better teachers could a person have?
Right.
And I was just, dude, I was like a sponge. I was soaking it up, and it was a new challenge, I guess, and a different part of the game I didn't know anything about, and I loved every second of it.
Well, that's always one of my soapboxes when I coached was always, and I always felt like I had a good rapport with most of the referees, but your parents, first thing everybody wants to do if you lose a game is blame the refs. And I used to have to sit down with my parents and I tell them, look, every time you tell our kids that the refs cost us the game, you're preventing that kid from getting better at what really cost us the game. Instead of saying, hey, you should have been boxing out.
Yeah.
You should have took better care of the ball. You should have took better shots. Things that would make us better. You're letting the kids off the hook when you just say, oh, the refs. It's the easy way out. It's always been a pet peeve of mine is when our crowds blame the ref. And you fight that as a coach with your kids. You're like, look, it's not their calls are going to happen. It's you're going to get some your way, some not your way. But that's an easy way. I got on my soapbox a little bit there on that one.
I know as a principal and as a fan of basketball, it's if you get a really good coach and some good officials, that's a joy and a pleasure because they can communicate. Listen, coaches are going to make mistakes, players are going to make mistakes, officials are going to miss calls. But when I walk over as an official and tell you, Eric, I just kick the crap out of that.
Yeah.
You know I'm going to miss a play every now and then.
Right.
But it's how I approach you. Number one, how are you going to approach me? Are you going to jump down my throat or are you going to be cool about it?
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to be professional and go, God, man, I don't know about that one.
What about now before we get off here, I know we're trying to keep me and you talk about this too. TED Talks, nobody probably wants to hear us talk for an hour. So, but before we get off, I do want to ask you about this because we've talked about it a lot, and you've worked a lot of games. You got to meet a lot of the coaches, get to know them. One of the coaches that we just had a podcast, our last one that dropped, we talked about Mike Nene a lot. Mm-hmm. I got to play for Mike. I've heard you talk about him. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches ever. And then another coach that I know you've worked with a lot that is stepping down after this year, Mark Campbell. Mm-hmm. Just real quick, some thoughts on those two guys, because to me, Neighbor's one of the most underrated, and Campbell's been one of the most successful. And I know you kind of have a relationship with both those
I don't know Mark really well because he was the women's coach, so
Right.
I don't do women's games. But just, you know, I would see bits and pieces of the game, and you see Mark in the hallway before and after games. And listen, you're talking about a class act, outstanding Christian person, and a lot of people throw that out there, and you wonder about it. Mark has one of the truest hearts of anybody ever
Right.
met. He's genuine, true blue, just a great guy. Mike, I've known him for 30 years. And
Right.
we've coached against each other, and I've refereed a blue meat in his games, and just
And Mike, you're getting a lot of love on here lately. two podcasts in a row, you're coming up. But I really do. I think Mike's one of the greats.
he's that dude. He's
You
one
know,
of
he
the best.
upset your Tigers one time there.
Oh, yeah.
Christian
Yeah,
Brothers,
they sure did.
CBU. I mean,
That was Josh Pastner's beginning of the end, I guess.
he helped retire him.
Well, listen, you never want to play a Mike never coach team in an exhibition game for your Division I school because they'll make you look like a fool. They'll backdoor you to death and pop threes. Get the big guys out there and pop threes. But no, Mike, if you're listening to this, Mike, you were the greatest to work for, always. And I mean that.
Oh, well, is there anything we forgot? Anything else?
I don't think so, man.
Now, again, we get to work together, and we're busy. I mean, he's the principal, always busy, but the few minutes every now and then where we get to talk hoops is always one of my favorite things. And there's hundreds of stories we could tell, and it's kind of like when I got Tim Allen on here. Probably about another 100 we can't tell. But
keep this family
keep
oriented.
it family oriented. But anyway, just really appreciate you coming on and doing this
Thank
with
you.
us, Coach. Man.
I enjoyed it, buddy.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you
it.
too. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.